So I felt with this week's episode of Fairy Tail, we definitely got to get the goal of Future Rogue and kind of some characterization as to what he's all about. And to be honest with you, he kind of reminds me in a sense as kind of, to a certain degree, a very radical anti-hero, sort of like somebody like Danzo from Naruto Shippuden, where in a sense, if you look at his ultimate motives, is basically to take down the Acnologia because he's just beyond anybody being able to stop, and that's why he's doing this. Now what he's doing is fucked up because he don't give a fuck who dies, who he has to kill, what world he has to destroy and grab all of these dragons, but ultimately it shows that he's not really just this horrible guy that just wants to kill people for no reason. He has a purpose. So in a sense, when you look at him from what he's trying to do, he's still crazy and fucked up because at the end of the day he killed his best friend and, you know, he's just been doing some fucked up shit. But again, he's kind of similar to a piece of shit like Danzo, where he's just a piece of shit that is trying to do some things that can sort of be considered noble, but he's going about it in any which way possible that, you know, it doesn't matter who fucking has to die in the process, which makes him, I guess, in a way, a villain, you know, teetering the anti-hero villain line, which in a sense I feel more villainous because, again, he just killed Future Lucy as soon as he came here. And another thing that this episode provided is definitely giving us the fact that the hype of the dragons throughout this entire series, for that matter, of how amazingly strong these dragons are, it was no fluke. It was no bullshit, because in this episode, I mean, everyone was giving it their best shot trying to take out these dragons. Makarov turned into that big form and tried to do shit, and he couldn't do absolutely nothing. So I really think that this was a good move with this particular part where it's showing that the dragons are no bullshit, because it would have been ridiculous if, like, anybody could have just, you know, kind of hurt the dragons or something like that. But it's clear as day, this episode displayed it. Natsu yelled it out fucking through the mountains that only really the Dragon Slayers can do anything to these dragons. You know, Dragon Slayers, you know, Dragon Slayer magic, hello. But it definitely is impressive, at the very least, that the dragons can, you know, withstand pretty much anything. Makarov's coming in there fucking thinking he's Diesel, and I was like, let's see what Makarov got. And can't do shit. Everyone is trying, and nobody can do a jackrabbit shit to these dragons. So that was a good part in there as well. It just kind of really reinforced that this is no bullshit. This is no game. The dragons are here to fuck shit up. I would really like to get a little glimpse of what's going on in the future, though, or what went on in the future. That Future Rogue, you know, managed to survive the Acnologia's wrath. Was he hiding? Was he just, like, you know, in the midst of all these dragons, he kind of just used the confusion to dip out? It definitely made me question a couple things regarding Future Rogue and just how he was able to maneuver around the Acnologia's wrath. I guess at the end of the day, the world is real big, and while he's an evil fuck and he got a lot stronger, he was probably cowering in fear for the most part from the Acnologia and using any bit of dragon controlling magic he can to kind of stay clear of him. And then this episode provided the fraud revealed, Sting exposed, with this week's episode of him basically showing his past, getting to see what happened. Did he really kill his dragon? And as a little boy, he was sniveling and crying, and his dragon was practically saying, hurry, do it, kill me. So Sting, again, fraud as always. This is how he got his fucking powers. He wasn't no beast like he claimed to be, and it just really was like, you're a fucking fraud, and this is exactly why I don't care for him or Rogue. He was crying throughout a big chunk of this arc about his kitty cat, and Rogue is just kind of like a fucking psychopath at this point in the future. So this is another example why Sting is crusty. I mean, at the end of the day, look at him. He couldn't fucking, he's lying and bragging. That's like bragging on your fucking beefcake. Yeah, yo, I banged that bitch, she mad hot. And then she walks up and says, actually, I've never even met you. Except in this case, it's even worse because the dragon was begging him, please fucking put me out of my misery. So as far as I'm concerned, Sting, crusty for life. The animation actually looked pretty damn good in this episode, especially some of the scenes where Natsu was on top of that dragon, fucking him up, and then that speech that just really was hype at the end with him screaming, the Dragon Slayers can do this, you know, we can win, and shit like that. That was definitely hype, and overall it was just really a good ending to the episode and ultimately kind of setting things up, especially with the release of Cobra. So now we have 7v7 with the Dragon Slayers and the dragons. It's a shame in a way because nobody can pretty much do anything. I guess they can provide distractions, but ultimately really only the Dragon Slayers can take on the dragons because the dragons are just on a whole different level. So in that aspect, it's kind of like, damn, everybody's just gonna have to be sidelined and only the Dragon Slayers can do anything. But I'll take what I can get. Let's just see some good action. And overall, very good setup episode, bringing in Cobra, getting set where the Dragon Slayers are going to actually be able to fight back, a counterattack against the dragons, because I think that it was done very well, that the dragons ultimately are proving to be something not to be fucked with, and ultimately they're living up to their names as dragons of, just these creatures that you cannot beat. Let me know what you guys think. First of all, Future Rogue, do you think that he's more of like an anti-hero in a sense of he's killing anybody in his path to ultimately save the world? I mean, he is saying he wants to be the king of dragons or whatever, but nonetheless, it really is to take down the Acnologia. Also, Sting, Krusty for Life, Fraud, what do you think about that? And ultimately, are you excited now that they got Cobra in there and all the Dragon Slayers are about to go in? I'm looking forward to seeing that, because if they keep up with this animation and the quality that they had at the end of this episode, it's going to be beast. So I'm going to give this one 8 out of 10, but that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, you can do so as well. That'd be awesome. I'm from World, and as always, people, have an awesome day. So I felt with this week's episode of Fairy Tail, we definitely got to get the goal of Future Rogue and kind of some characterization as to what he's all about. And to be honest with you, he kind of reminds me in a sense as kind of, to a certain degree, a very radical anti-hero, sort of like somebody like Danzo from Naruto Shippuden, where in a sense, if you look at his ultimate motives, is basically to take down the Acnologia, because he's just beyond anybody being able to stop, and that's why he's doing this. Now what he's doing is fucked up, because he don't give a fuck who dies, who he has to kill, what world he has to destroy and grab all of these dragons. But ultimately it shows that he's not really just this horrible guy that just wants to kill people for no reason. He has a purpose. So in a sense, when you look at him from what he's trying to do, he's still crazy and fucked up, because at the end of the day, he killed his best friend, and, he's just been doing some fucked up shit. But again, he's kind of similar to a piece of shit like Danzo, where he's just a piece of